Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're learning about Python dictionaries and sets. Two tools that might sound complicated at first, but once you understand them, they make Python so much easier to use. By the end of this video, you'll understand what key value pairs are, how dictionaries work, why sets automatically remove duplicates, and the most useful methods for both. These two data types show up everywhere in Python, even in real apps, websites, and beginner projects, so learning them now will save you a ton of confusion later. Let's get started. Let's start with dictionaries. A dictionary in Python is basically a way to store information using labels. Instead of remembering what number or index in a list means what, you use a label called a key that points to a piece of information called a value. Here is a sample dictionary so you can see what it looks like. That's a dictionary. It has curly braces and key value pairs. That example dictionary is named person. In this dictionary, name refers to Alice, age refers to the number 28, and city refers to New York. The labels for the values Alice, the number 28, and New York are called keys, and they must be unique. This means in a dictionary, no two keys can be the same. The corresponding values for each key, on the other hand, do not have to be unique. They can repeat or be the same, and they can be anything: text, numbers, lists, or even other dictionaries. A dictionary is perfect for situations where you want clearly labeled information. Now let's answer the big question. Why do we even need dictionaries? Well, dictionaries make your data easy to understand. If I stored information in a list like this, you'd have to memorize what each position means. Position 0 is the name, position 1 is the age, position 2 is the city. That gets confusing fast. But with a dictionary, like the dictionary name person, which we already created at the top of our code here, the dictionary labels each piece of information so you immediately know what each value represents. It's crystal clear. Now your data has meaning. Another huge reason dictionaries are awesome is this: you can instantly grab the information you want by using its key. It's like saying, Python, give me the name, and it knows exactly where to look. Dictionaries show up everywhere in Python, in apps, settings, files, and especially when websites or APIs, application programming interfaces, send data back to you. So the main idea is dictionaries help you organize information in a clean, understandable way. Alright, now let's learn how to actually use a dictionary. Here's how to get a value using its key. Here we use the print function to output text to the screen, and inside the print function we get the name in the person dictionary. This prints Alice. Here's how to get a value safely. Here we are attempting to get a value with the key of profession. However, there is no value with the key of profession, but the get function won't crash if the key doesn't exist. It just gives you none. Here's how to add new information. In this case, profession will be the new key and engineer will be the new value. Here's how to change existing information. Here we take an existing key and change its value. The existing key is age, we change its value to 29. Here's how to remove a piece of information. By doing this, we remove the key of city and the value that goes with it. Before we move on, let me quickly explain what an if statement is, because this might be the first time you're seeing it. An if statement is how you make your Python code make decisions. Think of it like this. You're telling Python, only run this piece of code if a certain condition is true. If the condition is not true, Python just skips the code. Here's a simple example. Let's make a variable called age and set it equal to 18. We can then say if age is greater than or equal to 18, print you are an adult. What's happening here? Python checks the condition. If Python checks the condition, is age greater than or equal to 18? If that's true, it runs the code inside the if block. If it's false, it does nothing. So you can think of an if statement as a way to say, if this is true, then do this. That's all an if statement is, just a way to control what code runs based on a condition. Now that you understand that, here's how to check if a key is in the dictionary. With that code, we are checking if the key called name is in the dictionary called person. We then print out the text, name key exists if it is in the dictionary. Now I'm going to quickly explain what a loop is, because this might be your first time seeing one in Python. A loop is just a way to repeat code automatically without you having to write the same line over and over. For example, if you wanted to print something 5 times, instead of writing this, you can use a loop to do it for you. Here's a simple example using a for loop. You read this as for I in range 5 prints hello. This tells Python repeat the code inside this loop 5 times. So the main idea is loops help you repeat actions, they save you time, and they make your code cleaner and easier to change later. That's really all a loop is, a tool to repeat code automatically. Now that you understand that, here's how to loop through keys. With this code, we loop through every key in the dictionary person and we print every key out in order. Here's how to loop through values. Here we loop through each value and print out all the values in order. Here's how to loop through both keys and values. This simply just prints out each key with its corresponding value. These are the actions you'll use constantly when working with dictionaries. Before we keep going, I'm going to quickly explain what a method is, because you're going to see me show some. A method is basically a special action that something in Python can do. Think of it like this. If you have a phone, it can call, text, take photos, play music. Those are actions. In Python, things like lists, dictionaries, strings, and sets also have actions they can do. Those actions are called methods. For example, if you have a list and you want to add something to it, you can use the append method. It looks like this. Here is what it looks like when being used on a list. This code adds a new item called new item to the list. The dot is basically saying, hey list, do this action. So in simple terms, a method is an action an object can perform. You write it with a dot, like this. This, or like this. Methods help you interact with and change the data you're working with. That's it. They're just actions you can tell things in Python to do. Now let's look at the most helpful dictionary methods. Think of these as shortcuts to make your life easier. Here is the key method. It shows all keys. Here is the values method. It shows all values. Here is the items method. It shows keys and values together. Here is the get method. It safely accesses a value. Here is the pop method. It removes a key and its value. Here is the update method. It updates multiple things at once. Here is the clear method. It removes everything from the dictionary. To give you an example of one of these methods, here is the update method in action. We just used the update method to add a key value pair of country and USA to the dictionary name person. Next, let's talk about sets. A set in Python is a collection of items where each item must be unique. That means if you accidentally put the same thing in twice, Python removes the duplicates automatically. Here is a set called numbers. We are going to print the values of the set out. Watch this. The output is 1, 2, 3, and the duplicates are gone. Sets also don't keep items in any particular order, so you shouldn't rely on the order they appear in. Use sets when you want uniqueness or when you want to quickly check whether something exists inside a group of items. Here's how to make a set. You type the name you are giving the set. For this example, let's call it name. Then an equal sign. Then an open and closed curly brace. And inside of that, you add values into the set. Separated by commas. Here's an example set called fruits. Here's how to add an item. This code adds the fruit grape to the fruit set. Here's how to remove an item. This removes the fruit banana from the fruit set. Here's how to safely remove an item without errors. This method does the same thing as the last one. It removes a value from the set. There's one difference between the discard method and the remove method though. The difference between remove and discard is remove gives an error if the item is not there, and discard does not. Here's how to check if something is in the set. That code prints apple is in the set if the string apple is in the fruit set. Sets are simple but powerful, especially when dealing with groups of items. Now let's go over the coolest part about sets: set operations, which work just like math. Let's take two sets. Here's set 1. We'll call it A. And here's set 2. We'll call it B. Using these two sets, here's how to do union. This combines everything from both sets. Here's the result: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here's how to do intersection. It will give you only the items the sets share. Here's the result. It's 3. Here's how to get the difference. This will get items in set A that are not in set B. Here's the result. It's 1 and 2. Here's how to get the symmetric difference. It gives you everything except the shared part. And here's the result. It's 1, 2, 4, and 5. These operations are all super useful when comparing groups, removing duplicates, or filtering data. Here are the set methods you'll use the most. There's add, there's remove, there's discard, there's pop, there's clear, there's union, there's intersection, and there's difference. Add lets you add something, remove lets you remove something but gives an error if it's missing. Discard lets you remove something safely, so with no error if it's missing. Pop removes a random item. Clear empties the whole set. Union combines sets. Intersection finds what's in both sets. And there's difference, which finds what's only in one set. Here's an example of how to use a method on a set. Let's say we have a set called numbers. Here's a number set. We can do numbers.add 4. Now 4 is part of the set. To use any of the other methods, it works the same way. Just change the text from add to the name of the method you want to use. So how do you know when to use a dictionary or when to use a set? Here's a simple way to know what to use. Use a dictionary when you want to label your data, you want clear, readable information, You want to quickly look up something by a key, or when you're storing structured data like settings or user details. Use a set when you need each item to be unique. You want to remove duplicates automatically. You want to check if something exists fast, or you want to compare groups using unions or intersections. Both are extremely helpful once you understand them. And that's it. Now you've learned what dictionaries are, how sets work, and all the important methods you'll use with both of them. If this helped you, make sure you hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell and set it to all so you can see my new uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.